I've never gone out my way to buy a manual focus lens before. So if you're interested in the Mitakon 35mm f0.95, then stick around for this video. This is for you. What do the numbers mean? So 35mm in full frame equivalent. If you guys watch my videos, I talk about it all the time. 35mm equals to 50mm. And f0.95 in terms of depth of field, in terms of that juicy buttery bokeh, it is basically f1.4. Now, in terms of sensor size, the sensor size does not actually determine the amount of light let into the sensor from the lens. So you're actually going to get, in low light capabilities, f0.95. But the bokeh, the depth of field, is going to be about a 1.4. But that, coming from a Fuji body, sounds pretty sweet. So you can see why I was attracted to this lens. It had something different to offer. That's pretty much as technical as I'm going to get in this review, because if you're watching my reviews, they're all about the result. How did it feel? What was it like for me in my own personal experience? And I like to give you guys the raw truth of what I felt and how it felt for me using it. So, some context. I was going to New York and I knew you could buy this lens in B&H. And I thought, you know what? Let's spice up the photography game. Let's spice up the bloody video game and check it out. Let's see what this lens is all about. Like I said, I've never owned a manual focus lens before, so maybe this could be the one that I really enjoy, and it's an artsy lens, so I could have some fun with it. First impressions in New York, it destroyed the bokeh. It was incredible. I really, really liked it. I thought it was really nice. I've always used focus peaking for when focusing was quite difficult, but to use it all the time, you know what? It was alright. This lens nailed focus pretty much. If you got the red lines in place, it nailed it. There was no issue. And to be fair, you buy this lens for shooting at f0.95. There was never an option where I wanted to go down to f2. Why would you waste your money? It's like $500. Why would you bloody do it? But before we get all happy chapping, come on mate, get this lens, you know what I mean? Like, we gotta slow down. There's a few things that I need to mention that subjectively didn't really work for me in my style of shooting. My style of shooting is predominantly candid, street, wedding, behind the scenes. That's what I really love doing. And the problem with that is this aperture ring is not clickable. It's very smooth, which for some people, like I said, this is subjective. For some people, it's going to be really good. They love it for filmmaking. It'll be really smooth if you want to just transition a bit or kind of, change your settings whilst filming. This will be really, really good. However, as it's manual focus, you have to spin the focus wheel. Having said that, sometimes my fingers will accidentally knock it off 0.95. Now for me, I bought this lens to shoot at 0.95. So if it takes me off 0.95, we kind of have a little problem, mate. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't getting my money's worth, you know what I mean? All jokes aside, that's probably the only negative piece of feedback I have to give about this lens. Yet again, it is subjective. I know it's useful for some people, but for my own personal use, if you shoot like me, this is something to consider and just to know of. Apart from that, the build quality is solid. It looks amazing. I love the dial, the little number dial guides and everything. It just looks aesthetically pleasing. I paid a bit more, so I paid that $20 more, whatever it was, to get it in silver, which looked aesthetically pleasing to me. This lens is for me and Chloe to have fun. We just want to a nice Sunday where you're just chilling, going to the coffee shop with friends. This is where that lens really shines. In a coffee shop, that f0.95, that low light capability, if you can get used to manual focus, is really pleasing. Once you nail f0.95 and you see the results, you don't give a crap about the manual focus. You will go manual focus all day because the results are just worth it, in my opinion. So I think we've established that I really like this lens and I'm keeping it. So how does it fit into my workflow? Well, first things first, it's definitely not going to be used for street photography. I mean, here's an example of street photography that I used it on. It was just picking up Chloe from the train station. And you know what? The juice is not worth the squeeze. It was really difficult, but if you can nail it, great. But I wouldn't go out of my way to pick up this lens for street photography. When doing portraits, this thing really shines. Especially if it's a candid portrait. You could be out on a day out with your friends to say, hey, hold on, where you were just standing right now? Let me just take a seat. Let me just grab a shot right here. Give me 2 seconds. And boom, there you go. Get a beautiful shot. The results are just so pleasing. just very different to what you would usually get with a Fuji lens. And usually to get those kind of shots, you have to spend a lot of money or go to a whole new system. So to have this kind of result in the Fuji system, I'm very happy. Now, let's talk about video. I did not think I was going to use this lens for video, but good old Gajan, Fuji shooter from Canada, his tag right here, he mentioned that in interview situations, you're going to get a very unique look, which other people might not get. And I think as someone that's going to make photography their bread and butter, you should be doing things other people aren't willing to do. And I think this lens can kind of steer you into that direction, give you a bit more experimentation. How else does this lens work in my workflow? Well, I'm doing that 50-50 challenge. If you haven't checked out my last video, I go into more depth of what that is. Basically, using a full frame equivalent of 50mm every day, take a shot every day, upload it to Instagram or wherever. So by the end of the 50 days, you have 50 beautiful shots and you've learned to master that 50mm equivalent. This lens is obviously 35mm, so it kind of works in my 50mm equivalent. And I have to say, using it in day-to-day mundane situations, it is really good. Very good. Stuff which I've never thought I would want to take a picture of and put it on Instagram. It's just kind of giving it that special sauce. So overall, this lens is definitely staying in my kit of Fujifilm lenses. It definitely breaks up the monotony, gives me something different to play with, makes my body of work feel different. I've taken some amazing portraits of this lens. I've taken a picture of Cody Warner, my best friend Nick from Oregon. If you haven't checked out these guys, link here, Cody, Nick, these guys are fantastic. Check out their work, bloody amazing. And I think that's what this lens is really good for. It's to slow down, take your time, really enjoy the moment, and you just get something really unique. So those pictures really stand out to you because they you had to work to get those shots more than usual. That's just my opinion. If you have any further questions about this lens, leave a comment down below. I will try to answer the best that I can for you because, I care what you have to say. Also, I'll be putting the raw files in a link down below, free of charge. You can download them, play with the raw files. Lightroom says it's a 21mm, but Lightroom doesn't understand a single thing. Do not listen to Lightroom. It is basically a 35mm in APS-C land, so don't worry what Lightroom says. But if you want to donate to the channel, that's one way of doing it. Me putting out the raw files out there, and whatever you feel like, if you want to help this young chap out, go for it, mate. Remember that this is a Mark II version, so there might be some old floating lens reviews on the internet that were probably pretty bad. That's probably the Mark I. It's now the Mark II, so everything should be alright. So that covers my subjective, non-scientific review of the Mitakon 35mm f/0.95. Hope you're satisfied. Play with the raw files. Enjoy yourself. I bought this lens in mid-September. We're now in mid-November. So if you've been waiting and you've kind of been like, when is this guy going to bloody release it? The reason is because I wanted to give myself a good 3 months of testing it out. We're now in mid-November. So I hope you appreciate that I took the time to play with it. So like, comment, share and subscribe. And thank you for watching. And I will see you pretty soon.